Hi everyone, my name is Lucy from Youth Culture Corps. Today I wanted to tell you about our traditional palace, 경복궁. 경복궁 is 법궁. Do you know what 법궁 means? 법궁 means the representative palace of one's country. So, 경복궁 is the representative palace in Korea. As you know, 경복궁 is a 궁궐. 궁궐 is a combined word. Did you know that? 궁 means living quarter that king, queen, and royal families lived. And 궐 means the wall that protects 궁. And 궁궐 can be separated to three parts. First, living quarter, 2, working part, and lastly, a party spot. So, in study quarter, sometimes king debate with their officials, and sometimes they met with high official and debate. Also, King Sejong made hangul. And the second living quarter is the king, queen, royal families, and also officials live there. And lastly, the party spot. And party spot, they held party and met some envoys, and so on. So today I tell you about our palace 경복궁. How was it? So thank you for listening. Bye.
This place is called Changdeokgung, and it is one of the five grand palaces built during the Joseon dynasty. You can get there by 10 minutes on foot from exit 6 of Chongno Samga Station. This place was built in 1405 by King Taejong, the third king of the Joseon. It is the palace that king stayed for 258 years out of 500 years, which is the time when Joseon dynasty existed. And you can know how much the king of Joseon dynasty loved this palace. This palace has a meaning of a secondary palace of Joseon. As I said before, it was the most loved palace from the kings of Joseon because it had beautiful harmonies with nature. You can see beautiful back garden if you go further inside. Also, it didn't follow the feng shui, which is the Western philosophy, as much as 경복궁, the main palace, so it gave the king the feeling of freedom. Today, Changdeokgung is listed as a UNESCO World Cultural Heritage Site number 816. You can learn about landscaping style of Joseon dynasty by looking around Changdeokgung, and it has more than 160 species of trees, and some of which are more than 300 years old. Changdeokgung Palace is a precious place that has been well kept and not damaged. I really recommend you to visit the back garden of Changdeokgung. It has beautiful valleys and lakes.
장경궁 is the third palace for the Joseon dynasty, following 경복궁 Palace and Changdeokgung Palace. 장경궁 Palace is not a palace for the king, but a place built to comfort the royal family. So, it is attached between Changdeokgung Palace and the wall. It is a palace of Changdeokgung Palace, but 장경궁 Palace contains history of Joseon dynasty. Compared to the colorful 경복궁 Palace and Changdeokgung Palace, 장경궁 Palace is small in size and there are not many buildings. It was because the king did not build it to live when he first built Changnyeong Palace. Changnyeong was originally named Sugangung, but the palace, which they had not used for a while, so the Sugangung was very old. King Seongjong, who was very good for adults, could not let three oldest live in such a place. He wanted to repair Changdeokgung Palace, but it was not enough to fix the Sugangung Hall instead of Changdeokgung Palace. He also changed name into Changgyeonggung. Changgyeonggung Palace is a place where women mainly live, so inner palace was wider than other palaces, so the size was smaller than others. Then after the Japanese invasion of Korea, all the palaces were burned. At that time, people thought invasion caused because of the Gyeongbokgung Palace, so they repaired Changbokgung and Changgyeonggung Palace. Changgyeonggung Palace is one of the palaces in Korea, and I hope you could have the information of the Changgyeonggung Palace. Thank you.
종묘 was built as royal shrine of Joseon Dynasty, where the deceased king and queen's spiritual tablet was enshrined. The reason why 종묘 was built is related to Confucian ideas, which was main concept of Joseon Dynasty. They thought when someone passed away, then that person separates to the dead body and the spirit. So they built tomb for the dead body, and they also built shrine for the spirits. In Joseon Dynasty, they built 종묘 as shrine for the royal facilities. And during Joseon Dynasty, Confucianism was really important. We can find out that in 1395, when Joseon first chose Seoul as the capital of Joseon, they first built this royal shrine, 종묘, according to Confucian idea. 종묘 is mainly divided into buildings for preparations of ritual and buildings for performing the ritual. There were Hyangdaecheong, where ritual tools were kept, and Jaegong, where king and crown prince prepared for the ritual, and Akgongcheong, where musicians waited for the ritual ceremonies. These buildings were buildings for the preparations for rituals. Buildings for performing the rituals were mainly Cheongjeon and Yeongnyeongjeon. Cheongjeon is the main building of 종묘, so the spiritual tablet of deceased king and queen were enshrined here. But not all the king of Joseon were enshrined here. This building housed the spiritual tablet of Taejo, who established Joseon Dynasty, and up to the 4 generations of reigning king and kings with big achievement. They also housed each king's wife, which is queen. As you can see on this picture, Cheongjeon is quite long building. They expanded this building few times as more spiritual tablets were enshrined. There are whole 19 rooms. In each room, they put king's tablet on west and queen's tablet on east. How about other kings of Joseon? So there were other building called Yeongnyeongjeon. The style of building and facilities are same as Cheongjeon, but this building is smaller than Cheongjeon. The higher part of Yeongnyeongjeon is for 4 generations of King Taejo, who established Joseon. And beside, there are 12 kings, including memorialized king,
in this Yeongmyeongjeon. In Jongmyo, they held a ritual called 종묘제례. It was the most important and biggest ritual of Joseon dynasty, so king held this. And we still do this 종묘제례 in every May and November. So the ceremony was included on UNESCO's list of intangible cultural heritage of humanity. Also, music of ritual called 종묘제례악 was designated as UNESCO too. 종묘 is very important cultural heritage because it is very valuable and very important in our Joseon history. I hope you could visit this 종묘 someday and feel our Korean culture well. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Kim Woo-jin and I am a member of Youth Culture Corps. Because of COVID-19, everyone can go outside and go to the other world. So because of that, today I will tell you about the Sajikdan and the related Korean history to you by online. In your country, is there a God that people believe? In the past of our country, there was a country that was called Joseon. Joseon was a farming country, so they burned to get a food. To burn well, they believed to God that one is the God of the land and the God of the corpse. To do a right for these two gods, God of the corpse and God of the land, they built this building, Sajikdan. And Sajikdan was a very important building in Joseon dynasty because, as I told you, the Joseon was a farming country, and to do a farming well, they had to believe these two gods. So they built this Sajikdan more faster than the other fancy palace like Gyeongbokgung Palace and Jeongdeokgung Palace. Also, the Sajikdan is in the south of the Hanyang, the capital of Joseon, because of the Chinese book Jure. And the king visits here and do the rites for these two gods once a year. When you come to the Sajikdan, you can see a two-stone layer. The left stone layer was for the god of the land and was called Sadan, and the left one was for the god of the corpse and was called Jikdan. The Sajikdan was very important place of the Joseon dynasty, but it was destroyed by Japanese in Japanese colonial area. So come here and feel and see the Korean history, and goodbye.